Welcome back to Kid Questions Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Lom. Can you believe that we are already on episode 6? It has been a lot of fun to share this experience with students, kids, parents, and fellow teachers. Thanks for joining. In this episode, we'll answer the kid question, what is a mineral? It came from a 6-year-old in Canada. All right, today we have Jessica Robertson. She is an environmental geologist, and she is here to answer our listener question today. But before we get into the question, Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about your profession?
Sure. I am an environmental geologist, like you said, and there are a lot of different things you can do as a professional geologist. And what I do is I help companies that are buying property or cleaning up property to figure out what exactly the problem is and to help them get their arms around it as to what needs to be done to clean it up. And then I am also a member of the Friends of Mineralogy and the Young Mineral Collectors, which are a couple of mineral enthusiast groups nationwide. And I'm happy to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Jessica, to answer our listener question, which is, what is a mineral?
A mineral, this is fun. A mineral is a solid substance that occurs from nature. It occurs inorganically, meaning it's not from something living, and it has a defined chemical structure and chemical formula. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Very cool. And Jessica, when you were a child, did you have an interest in geology and rocks and minerals, crystals, and those kinds of things? Like, did you have the idea that you wanted to include this as part of your future profession?
Oh, that's a fun question. I did not. However, I always loved picking up rocks at the beach, and I loved minerals, and my grandmother was a mineral collector, would give me minerals, and it was just something I always really loved doing, but it didn't really occur to me to become a geologist. I thought I was going to be a doctor. When I was in high school, I thought I was going to be pre-med. But then when I went to college, that's when I actually first took a geology course. It wasn't really something that we took in my middle school and high school career. And so it wasn't until then that I realized, oh, this is a thing people can actually do. And so I changed my mind. I went to sideways a little bit into science, and that was fun. So I'm very happy I did that.
You seem very happy and very enthusiastic about your profession and your interests. And I love the way that, your grandmother influenced you. And then here you are, full circle. You're, an adult, and you're working with something that was a hobby as a child. So that's beautiful. So another question we have for you is, where and how would you recommend for a child to begin with collecting minerals, rocks, crystals? Like, if they think they are interested in geology, where would you direct them to? What would you recommend they begin with?
This is my favorite because this is something I'm very passionate about. I think younger students, say elementary age or younger, should just continue picking up rocks and hopefully ask your parents nicely if you can take some home and maybe carefully compare them to guidebooks, or if you have a rock hound, somebody in your life, to just talk to them, maybe take them on a field trip, that kind of thing, and really enjoy it together. And if there's ever an opportunity to take an extra geology course or go to a national park where they talk about rocks, definitely try and go. And then as you get older and there's fewer opportunities to talk about rocks in school, then you might have to search it out a little bit more, but there's opportunities. Usually in the local area, there will be rocks and minerals clubs you can join where there will be people that want to talk to you about it. They love to have kids because sometimes it's a bunch of stuffy old people and it's fun to have new people to talk to. So we love to have kids come join. If there's a rock and mineral show in your area, try and get your parents to take you, and you can see lots of cool things that you wouldn't otherwise see in your local area. Because usually, if you're in your local area, you're probably looking at, in my area, it's beach rocks, maybe some agates. Depending on where you are, it might be some fossil shark teeth, the kind of thing, whatever is in your area that's easiest for you to find. There's a lot more out there to learn about. So read books, watch YouTube shows, all that fun stuff.
Very good information, Jessica. And where we are, there would be a lot of limestone and like rocks that you would find along Lake Michigan, those kinds of things. Do you have any tips for kids, our listeners, or children, that for their academic success and for reaching personal goals?
Oh, well, do your homework. I know you're tired of hearing that advice, probably, but just try and be curious and enthusiastic about the things that you're learning. And read a lot. Not read fiction stories, absolutely, but also try and read some nonfiction stuff from magazines, National Geographic, stuff like that. Will really engage your curiosity. Was that the question?
Yeah, that was the question. Yeah, I love that. You have to go, in the direction of where your interests lie so that you can really enjoy the exploration process. Actually, I find that a lot of my students, they love nonfiction, although it's harder to comprehend because of the larger words and the academic vocabulary, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you like sharks or you like boats or military or, it tends to be specific, you know what I mean? And then they get really,
Yeah.
So that's great advice. And then I have one more question for you today, and that is, would you like to share a place for our listeners to contact you if they have further questions?
Sure. There's a couple of places. If your listeners are older than the age of 13 and on Facebook, they can join the Young Mineral Collectors group, which is a wonderful resource of young adults coming together and talking about their excitement for minerals. Or if you just want to follow me and ask some questions personally, probably the easiest way is to go to my Instagram page, which is Specimens Stories JR. And I show a lot of interesting minerals there and some of the information about them.
I have to agree. I saw Jessica's Instagram page, and the rocks and minerals and crystals that she has in her photographs are just gorgeous. I mean, my children and I spent some time looking at the different pictures that you posted because I was like, oh my gosh, they would be amazed by some of the pictures, and then the way you compare them to common things that you would see in real life, and then you put the rock next to it and you see a similarity. They were like, oh my gosh. So it was really cool.
That's great. That's great.
We are so happy that we got to speak with you today. And I think that you are a great resource for young learners that are interested in learning more about minerals. So thank you so much.
You can find Kid Questions Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. More kid questions and suggestions are always welcome. You can email them to kidquestionspodcast@gmail.com. If you are enjoying the show, please leave us a review, subscribe to the show, and tell your friends about us. Thank you for listening.